Happy Monday and welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. And we're going to be banking out the rest of the NFC South today with our Tampa Bay Buccaneers season preview, what to look forward to in 2022. I'm, of course, your host, David On Point. Right there is the host of the JCA Sports Podcast, Mr. Eric Avila, also my coworker at the Illinois Media School. If you're looking for consistent content on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Prime Sports World is a pretty good place to hang out. We go live 6 or 7 times a week, bringing the most up-to-date content. Please like and share and subscribe to Pro. Every single like, every single share helps us build this brand. I'm also going to share the StreamYard link into the chat and all of those places. So if you want to join us and talk about some Tampa Bay Buccaneer football, you're more than welcome to do so. But as I mentioned during every show, please keep your comments PG or even G, because we do not want to get in trouble by the gods that is YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, because you know how they like to drop the hammer, and we do not want that to happen to us here at Prime Sports World.
PG-13.
Yeah, no, it's got to be PG, man. And joining me here today, host of the JCA podcast, Eric Avila. What's up, man? How are you? Shameless plug. Go ahead, buddy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. JCA Sports. Obviously, you can find us on Facebook. John Konavi. Our show's live Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. Sorry, not 9 a.m. And then I'm over here trying to hear the sirens in downtown Chicago. Apparently, there's a tornado warning up here in the city. So, I'm just, hearing all the sounds. But yeah. JCA Sports, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, John Konavi. You can find us there. We'll be live tonight at 9 p.m. Why am I saying 9 p.m.?
What are you guys talking about tonight?
What do we have on store for today? We have obviously NBA Finals, so we're going to be on during the NBA Finals for sure. We're going to talk about baseball, obviously, with Chicago White Sox. We have a new segment called the Top 10. We're going to rank the top 10 baseball teams so far this for the baseball season. We're going to do a little preview of the NFL, and that's pretty much it. That's all we got for today.
Yeah, that top 10 segment should be real cool. I saw Jose editing that today while he was in the office, so that should be a pretty cool segment, a pretty cool, a little bit of depth for you guys to add to your show. That's a pretty fun idea.
This is what we call the dog days of summer, where it's just nothing but baseball, so we got to be creative when we do our show.
Yeah, I feel you. Trust me, I definitely understand. But yeah, let's talk about Tampa Bay. Let's talk a little football action. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So let's talk about Tampa Bay. So first, your expectations for Tampa Bay, just blanket expectations for Tampa Bay for this season. Then we'll get into their storylines for this season.
All right. Oh, you're talking about me? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Man, you know what? I think this is the team that should be in the NFC Championship. No. I mean, Tom Brady coming back. I think that's their goal, NFC title game. Because people say Super Bowl. Let's be honest. If you reach the championship game in any division in whatever sport you play, I think that's always a win. So that's the expectations, at least for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, especially if Tom Brady's coming back.
Yeah, I think because of the division they play in, I think they have the most direct path to a playoff spot than maybe any other team in the NFL this season. Because I don't think there's anybody in that division that really, if you're Tampa Bay, that really scares you. Like you're like Atlanta's in a rebuild, Carolina's terrible, and New Orleans is kind of the wild card there. They've had Tampa Bay's number outside of that playoff game, but like Tampa Bay should have the most direct path to an instant playoff spot, right?
For sure. It's them and I guess the Packers are probably the only two teams in the NFC who has like that direct path to the playoffs.
You could say the whole football league, because I mean, like there's some, I guess maybe Buffalo too. I don't really super believe in Miami right now until I see it on the field, but
New England is up there too. I'll argue New England with you.
I guess we'll get to that when we get to the New England. So yeah, I think expectations is the team's going to be competing for a Super Bowl. I mean, this is probably going to be it for Tom Brady, and you expect them to go to the Super Bowl. Let's talk about their storylines. Bruce Arians is out. He's moved into the front office. They basically vetted a position for him. Todd Bowles is now the head coach of this team. So what now? As you remember, Todd Bowles was the coach of the New York Jets. I think that like 5 years ago, he got like basically 2 seasons, and then they fired him when they didn't make they're the Jets. They fire. That's what happens. So what now? What do you think led to this Bruce Arians outing? Like, do you think that there's something more going on there than just Bruce Arians being out? Do you think there was something kind of rift between him and Tom Brady where he didn't really want to play for Bruce Arians? That was part of the protocol for him to even come back and play this season. Like, I'll come back only if that guy's out.
Definitely for sure. I know there was rumblings last year between the both of them. Obviously, it was kept secretly until the season was over. At least their season was over. That there were rumblings and there were riffraffs and there was something between Bruce Arians and Tom Brady, and especially the NFC title game. I mean, especially once they got exited, bounced in the playoffs. Who was it? Who was it that bounced them? Was it the Rams that bounced
Yeah.
them out?
Yep.
Yeah. And so there were rumblings, and I think the only reason because of that, obviously the AB situation was one key factor. Let's be honest, because Tom Brady backed him up as much as he can. He wanted him to be part of this team. He was a big focal point during their Super Bowl run the year prior. So and then obviously, his ideas, my ideas. All right, bro, I'm the head coach. Just listen to me here and there. Well, I'm Tom Brady. I got 7 rings. I'm Thanos here. So come on, So Eagles got in the way. And then his Bruce Arians' health issues kind of was also another stepping stone on why he wasn't coming back. Obviously, Bruce Arians, we all know about his health. I think he had a couple years back, he went to the hospital for something, if I remember correctly.
I mean, you got to remember also, I think he tear his ACL. Was that 2 seasons ago?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so I think there was definitely something. I think there's definitely some unlikeness between Bruce Arians and Tom Brady, but sure. I don't know if that's the official reason. And all we're really doing is stirring the pot a little bit. But Todd Bowles, he got a kind of a raw deal there in New York. He's been a great defensive coordinator ever since he got to Tampa Bay, and he deserved a second shot to being a head coach in the NFL. Like as I mentioned, he got a really raw deal in New York as the head coach of the Jets. Like they didn't have the quarterback in place. They weren't drafting well. They didn't put a team around him to be successful, and that's why that team struggled. So what are we expecting difference wise between Todd Bowles and Bruce Arians? Like what do you think there's going to be a whole lot of difference, even though because Byron Leftwich is still running the offense?
What difference? You're right. I mean, you got to find the difference. Where would it be a little bit different? Obviously, other than a new man on the headset, right? I mean, Leftwich is going to be on his own with the offensive duties. Defensively, is he going to be the play caller? Is he going to be the defensive coordinator? That's probably like the only difference. Hold on. To me, that's just my big thing. Like, where's the difference? I mean, if you can find it, let me know, because I can't find it right now either, because it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's still. I think it's still pretty early, so we'll see. But yeah, I think Todd Bowles is a good coach. I'm not particularly worried about it. So let's move on to the second storyline. Tom Brady, final season, yes or no? Oh, what's up, Jose? Welcome to the show.
What up? Tom Brady's final season. I'm going to say yes. I think this is his final season. Look, Dave, and everybody who's watching, I'm a little insider here, okay? I've seen.
He's the little insider.
I have a little inside scoop for everybody, right? Well, I've seen TikTok once, right?
Only once?
Of Tom Brady. This is when he did an interview for Gillette way back when he was a sponsor. He was with the Patriots still. He talked about his wife Giselle and how she does a lot of, how can I say? She does a lot of certain things to kind of help Tom Brady be successful in his career. She's very big on religion. She'll have like big shrines of him with a whole bunch of stuff. She'll have him say certain things, manifestations, eat a certain way, and she'll tell him straight up when he's going to win a championship or not. Every year she has been correct. Tom Brady's out here saying this, right? Every year he'll ask her, "Hey, so like do we have a shot this year?" She's like, "No, maybe it's not your year, but next year will be your year." Sure enough, he would win the year after.
Oh, all right.
Hold on. I'm not lying to you, okay? Like this comes out Tom Brady's mouth. He said it himself. I don't think it's a coincidence that Tom Brady came back this year to play one more year as Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I honestly think he spent he spent 2 months at home with his family and kids. Was like, no, I'll go back to the NFL.
All I'm saying is
and I think he never really I think because of that story got out at ESPN, I think he felt pressured into retiring. I don't think he ever had any intentions of retiring after last season. I think he wants to control that narrative entirely. He doesn't like that whatever got out that he was going to retire. So I think this is it for him. I think this is his last season. I don't think he's going to win a Super Bowl this year. I don't think Tampa Bay is good enough, but they for sure could win a Super Bowl. But I think this will be his last season as a quarterback in the National Football League. I think he'll.
I'm putting all my chips in.
I believe so too. I think this is his last hurrah. I think Tom Brady, just like who was it? Just like Elway, who else? Just like
Peyton
Manning, all of them. Like I think he wants his swan song being him walking away, leaving the NFL as Super Bowl champ. And just making that Super Bowl title run a little bit more difficult for everybody to come within these next couple decades.
David Henderson watching the show, he said Brady didn't feel pressured. He changed his mind out of greed and ego. I tend to disagree with you. I think there was some fact that he, like, once that report got out, he was like, oh, I guess I have to retire now. I think there was definitely some pressure there.
It's not just pressure. The man knows something. His wife knows something. Okay, this guy's gonna come out on top. He's been correct every single year.
Final storyline: NFC still run through Tampa Bay. Yes or no?
I want to say yes. As long as Tom Brady's still the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think it's, even though the Rams are defending Super Bowl champs, it still goes through Tampa.
I will respectfully disagree with you. I think the Tampa Bay does not run through Tampa Bay. I think they play in a weak division, so they're going to be a playoff team. But it runs through the Rams and Green Bay.
I agree.
So I don't know, man.
I agree, Dave. I agree 100%. They're the Super Bowl.
I would even say it runs through Green Bay.
No. It still runs through the Rams. They're the Super Bowl champs. They're the defending champs. They're going to be the ones who are, I think, out of the NFC. I think they're going back to the Super Bowl this year. Despite what I just said about Tom Brady, I think the Rams are going to go back.
In a shocking turning event, David Henderson agrees with me that the NFC runs through Green Bay. He's a Packer fan, by the way.
There's no way.
There is no way that the NFC is going through the Green Bay right now. They have to. This legit has to be. You know what? This is another podcast for another day, but this has to be legit. Aaron Rodgers will definitely deserve the MVP if he actually pulls it off and taking this team to the Super Bowl.
If they have the best record in the NFC with that wide receiving core, he deserves to win another MVP.
Yeah, you know what? The Super Bowl should be handed to him if that does happen. There should be no Super Bowl.
But I agree with you. I think the NFC runs through the Rams. I do think Tampa Bay is for sure going to be involved because of how weak the division they play in. Like, they're a lock for a playoff spot. Like, absolute lock.
They're at least. The one thing that they're at least the number one seed in the NFC, simply because even though the Rams are the defending Super Bowl champion, that division is still semi-tough. Whatever you get from the Arizona Cardinals and what San Francisco 49er team is going to come out this year is the question mark, whether make it a tough division or a kind of semi-tough.
I totally agree with you. And the NFC East, I think Dallas. I think Philadelphia will be better this season too. So, or at least in the mix. Moving on from there, you got their draft. So they traded out of the first round with Jacksonville and acquired some extra draft picks. They drafted Logan Hall, the defensive end out of Houston, round 2. They took Luke Godedek, offensive tackle out of Central Michigan. Raquan White, running back out of Arizona State after they lost Ronald Jones in free agency this offseason. Cade Oten, tight end out of Washington. Jake Commodore, a punter out of Georgia. I don't understand this punter stuff, but more punters were taken in this year's draft than any other draft in the history of the league. Zion McCollum's cornerback out of Sam Houston State. Cole Keith, another tight end out of Minnesota. And Andre Anthony, defensive end out of LSU. So what do we think about their draft as a whole?
Was it like a B- in the type of aspect? I mean, look, they're the one team that got hit with a lot of free agents leaving, right? And mostly everybody was on 1-year deal. And I think Chris Godwin was also tore his ACL, I believe, but I think he re-signed for 1 year.
Yeah, no, he signed under the franchise tag, and then they re-signed him to a multi-year contract.
There you go. So
4 years.
It was one of the teams that got hit a lot with free agency, and then they actually picked up a lot. I think they just picked up Akeem Hicks from the Bears.
Correct. We'll talk about free agency after this,
for sure.
So let's focus just on their draft.
But this overall, I mean, look, I think they did what they did was best player available outside of the punter in the 4th round, right? Because you're right, punters went completely crazy this year. But you give them a B- because they got 2 tight ends out of this. If I'm reading correct, they got an offensive tackle.
He'll probably play guard for them originally. Because they have. I mean, Alex Capo left. I know they traded for Shaq Mason, but it's always nice to have a bunch of depth there. And he's a MAC player, and I love football players from the MAC.
Yeah, and I remember Cade Otton over here, the tight end. I think he was more of a blocking tight end than he was a receiving tight end. So it's just help. It's more help on the interior for Tom Brady. Obviously, him not being that movable and like that. Just give him time for more people on the line, just for him to throw. And obviously, it's quick 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
Yeah, and then, I mean the quarterback that you got out of Sam Houston Tate, 6'2", 199 pounds, ran a 4.33 in the 40-yard dash, which is an insane amount of time. Arms long, it's not super long, but he had 13 interceptions and 54 pass breakups and 56 career starts. 52 starts, but that's great value in the 5th round for a guy who's a ball hawking corner, who should be, day one ready to go. And then they took the kid out of Minnesota who 4.59, 40-yard dash, 6'4", 230. Could be potentially, a blocking pass pro. He should be able to do it all tight end, especially since they lost OJ Howard and they potentially lost Rob Gronkowski. Even if he comes back for just one season, his shelf life is going to be short. Oh,
for sure. I mean, that's all you could get out of Rob, right? Just a short 1-year deal, and then whatever you want to put in for incentives.
And then Andre Anthony, an edge out of LSU, tore his ACL in the 2021 season. But when he was able to, he had the season before that, he had 5.5 sacks, leading LSU in sacks. He like a 4.63 in the 40-yard dash coming off an ACL tear at their pro day. So, they need some density edge. I actually kind of like what they did. This kid, they also took a kid they took from Houston, 6'6", 283 pounds, edge rusher. Could be a 3 technique in the National Football League. Yeah.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, look, Tampa Bay, with them, it's a win now mode. And if these players can contribute, it's only a win-win situation for them.
And because Tampa Bay is in an interesting situation where they didn't have a bunch of glaring needs. They really just needed to draft for consistent depth.
For depth reasons in certain areas. And obviously you can tell they got 2 defensive ends on here, 2 tight ends on here. And you could just tell where their mindset was at. 2 tight ends, like you said, OJ Howard and Gronk gone, but they replaced them this year with the high number 1 or with the high tight end, and then obviously they got one in the back end of the draft.
Yeah, David Henderson said it was an all right draft. New coaching regime. I tend to agree with you. I think it was just an all right draft. I think trading back out of the first round and picking up extra draft picks is probably a pretty smart move. Moving on from the draft to their free agency, notable additions: Russell Gage, Akeem Hicks, Keanu O'Neal, Logan Ryan. Their main departures: Jason Pierre-Paul, Rob Gronkowski. I put an asterisk next to because I do think at some point he comes back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at some point during this offseason, like right before season starts, probably. Ndamukong Suh, Alex Kappa, OJ Howard, and Jordan Whitehead, who's the safety who ended up signing with the Houston, I think. So what do we think about their free agency? This is New York Jets. Sorry, Jordan Whitehead.
All right. So the additions, obviously, you can tell they got beefier, right? Obviously, they replaced Ndamukong Suh for Akeem Hicks, which was the bigger picture one. But you're right. The asterisk that you got right there is perfectly. It's Rob Gronkowski, which is probably, if there's any weak side or any weakness in this offensive team or offensive side of the ball, is the tight end position, especially with the players that have drafted. If they bring back Gronk, it's like it doesn't look that bad as it did coming into the season. You said it before. It's a team that really didn't have a lot of holes to fill, and if they get these type of players and whoever's left on free agency, this team is just winning overall.
Well, I mean, you got to keep in mind that I didn't mention all the players that they re-signed that were free agents on this roster. So Leonard Fournette re-signed, Giovanni Bernard re-signed. They re-signed
Chris Godwin, like you mentioned.
Richard Perriman. They re-signed Chris Godwin. They re-signed Chris Carlton Davis. Ryan Jensen was another guy that they didn't think they'd be able to keep. They re-signed him as the center of this team. So, I mean, they re-signed a lot of their own guys. I mean, they weren't obviously the Super Bowl when they brought back the entire roster, but this is they brought back a lot of their own guys, and they brought Logan Ryan, who's a fantastic safety and should give them some real depth at the corner safety position. Leonard Fournette is a bruising running back. They did lose Ronald Jones, but that's why you draft a guy. There could be a change of pace back and spell. Ronald Jones out there.
Yeah, and you guys were mentioning Rob Gronkowski. Let's be honest. You don't need any big name ball catcher with Tom Brady. He's done it almost his entire career in New England. You put someone there, work with Tom Brady, though, he'll get him up to speed real quickly, and they'll show their worth for sure.
I mean, not always. I mean, Chad Johnson didn't work out there very well.
Right, he's a no-name guy. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about guys who come up, who Tom Brady could help out.
Yeah, he has done a lot with like with less. But I mean, he still has Mike Evans. He still got Chris Godwin. Russell Gage is a really good football player. Should be able to give them some real depth at wide receiver position. They still have Tyler Johnson, Brashard Perriman, Scotty Miller still on this team. Like, yeah, Kevin Brate.
I forgot he's still on that team too. I ain't gonna lie. Kevin Brate is on that team.
I mean, he's tight end one. If the season were to start now, he's tight end one.
He is tight end one.
David Henderson says Gage is an interesting pickup. He wasn't bad in Atlanta. He for sure signed after Calvin Ridley went out last season. Russell Gage really signed through the rest of the season.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, I mean, look, man, this Bucks team, Dave. I'm telling you right now, this Bucks team is going to be the team that's going to represent. No, let me not go there. But it's a team. It's a team that you gotta be watch out. Definitely, you're a weak division. The NFC is not that tough. It's only them and two other teams, possibly even three. Their route to the Super Bowl is a lot more easier than obviously the AFC side.
I tend to agree with you on that. So let's get into their schedule. Let's talk about it a little bit. First game of the season, they go to Dallas. By the way, this is a bit of a gauntlet schedule. Like their schedule is a gauntlet of a schedule where they're playing top-notch teams like every week. Especially there's a streak like this Pittsburgh, Carolina, Baltimore, Rams. Like that is rough. So let's talk about the first game of the season. They go to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Do they win this game? Yes or no?
Oh, definitely 1-0.
I don't know about definitely.
Definitely 1-0.
Dallas tends to be really good early and then fall off at the end. And they have so much firepower. I'm going to say Tampa Bay loses this game against Dallas.
You're crazy.
This game is in Dallas, so I'm going to agree with you. I actually think they go to Dallas and lose. I think this is like Dallas is going to be fired up. They're going to be ready to play. Give me Dallas win this game. I do think it'll be a close game, but give me Dallas. The next week they go to New Orleans into the Superdome and take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Or the New Orleans Saints. So who comes out of that game?
That's a dub. That's a win, man. Saints aren't what they used to be. No Sean Payton coaching that team anymore. It's over with. Bucks win.
2-0.
I actually had when I did the season preview for the New Orleans Saints yesterday, and I had them splitting the season with Tampa Bay because New Orleans seems to have Tampa Bay's number for just some reason. New Orleans seems to have Tampa Bay's number, and I will take them to win this game. So I'll take New Orleans to win this. I have them actually starting the season 0-2.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm pretty bold on this one. You bold.
I mean, New Orleans just seems to have their number. Like, it just seems like they just struggle against New Orleans.
New Orleans is taking a huge step back, man. They don't have what they used to. Who's back right now?
Alvin Kamara, if he doesn't get suspended?
That's the running back. I'm talking about quarterback.
Oh, Jameis Winston.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they beat Tampa Bay twice last season with Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill as the quarterback of that team.
I don't know, man. For you to say that they're going to split the season series with New Orleans, and I get it, I understand. It's just I don't see it. I don't see New Orleans being a threat this year.
We'll see. I think they'll beat. I think they'll split that season series. I think New Orleans is going to be better than people give them credit for. Their defense should be a top 5 unit in the league this year, if not better.
Top 10, top 5 is a stretch.
3. They might end up the season the best defensive unit in the NFL.
Ain't no way.
No possible way, dude.
Green Bay then rolls into Raymond James Stadium for the first game, the home game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this is where I have them getting their first victory. I have them beating Green Bay in Tampa Bay 1-2 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, Tampa Bay's definitely beating Green Bay Packers. 100%.
Hey, look, they're gonna start the season 3-0.
Sorry, David.
Sorry, David, for sure. You can't. I look, they're gonna be fired up, and especially if we're gonna go on their Days method over here of them going 0-2, for them to have not only their home opener as their third game in the season, I think they're gonna come out prove a point as to a contending team in the NFC against Green Bay.
I love how David said it's gonna be the defense is gonna destroy Brady. Yeah, it's gonna be a shootout, and Brady's still gonna score 31 points. I think the game Brady has way too much more weapons on offense to get the job done. Rodgers does not. Period.
And then Kansas City comes to town, and I think this is one of those interesting games where it's kind of a pick 'em. Like, I don't really know how this game is going to shake out. What do you guys think is going to happen here with Kansas City coming to town?
To me, Look, it's going to be hard. These two teams that we just talked about, the Green Bay Packers and Kansas City Chiefs, they have lost a lot. And obviously, Tyreek Hill leaving Kansas City just puts a dent in the wide receiver position. Yes, they have Patrick Mahomes, but I don't know. My faith in Patty Mahomes is just not the same anymore. I could kind of see the Bucks going 4-0 to start the first 4 games of the season.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to take Tampa Bay to win this game. I got them going 2-2. 2-2 now.
I agree with Eric when he says that the fact that the Chiefs have lost a lot. Like you're going to realize how much Tyreek Hill meant to that offense when he's not there, and we're going to see it. I still think Kansas City is going to be a great team, but just they're not going to beat the Bucks. Not in this game.
I do think this game will be pretty close. I think it could go either way, but yeah, I'm going to take Tampa Bay as well. And then Atlanta travels into Raymond James Stadium and they take an L. Give me Tampa Bay to beat Atlanta.
Tampa Bay to beat Atlanta.
Big
Jose
facts.
agrees. This is where, to me, it depends on where the schedule falls between Kansas City, whether if it's a Sunday night or a Monday night game. Because if it's a Monday night game, I could see this being a trap game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
It is Sunday night.
The Kansas City game, right?
Yeah.
And then the following week, even though it's at home, it's probably like an afternoon game, right?
Correct.
So, this could potentially be one of those trap games, especially having 2 back-to-back tough games against the Kansas City Chiefs and the Green Bay Packers at home. This could be a potential trap game for the Bucks. I could kind of see where they could go for an L, but I believe that the Atlanta Falcons are going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL too. So give me a W for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but don't be surprised if they actually lose this one.
I think this game will be. I think Atlanta's going to play teams hard next season. Like I think their defense is going to be awesome next year. I think.
Yeah, look, think about it. I'm telling you, Green Bay, Kansas City back to back, and you possibly going to face probably one of the weakest teams in the NFL at home. After 2 tough games back to back, don't be surprised if it's a trap one and Atlanta comes out with a W.
Atlanta probably has a top 5 cornerback duo in the National Football League right now with AJ Terrell and Casey Hayward on that team.
I understand that, but you're still talking about Marcus Mariota as a starting quarterback here. I don't think you can do that against Tampa Bay's defense. I'm just saying. Marcus Mariota is a backup at best. Thank you, David. 66-3. I agree 100%. Tampa Bay not only beats it now, they roll over now. Now, the trap game, however, I think is the next game. Go ahead, David. You could.
And then after that, they go to Pittsburgh into Heinz Field and take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Does the winning streak snap at 3 games when they go into Pittsburgh, gentlemen?
Yes, this is where I think the trap game is. And this has nothing to do with the quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. I think the difference between this team and Atlanta is that you have Mike Tomlin on that sideline, who we know knows how to play Tom Brady, who we know is one of the greatest coaches of all time. He's only had, 1 losing season his entire career?
Never. He's never had a losing season.
Never had it. Even better. Never.
Not one.
And they have a great overall team. I think Tampa Bay goes and loses at Pittsburgh.
Are y'all both smoking the same thing, huh? It's Pittsburgh. They have no quarterback. There is no quarterback in Pittsburgh.
They just drafted one.
There's drafting the potential starter coming. No, this is another W. The Bucks are going to be the last undefeated team in the NFL. They're going to win, steamroll Pittsburgh.
How are you going to go from them losing Atlanta to beating?
I'm just saying I say they're still going to win that game, but don't be surprised if it's a trap for the Bucks.
This is the trap.
But this is not the trap. This is.
I'm taking Tampa Bay to win this game as well. I do not think this is the trap. I think Pittsburgh still has a questionable offensive line. They never really addressed it. Look for Tampa Bay to get after the quarterback and get after whoever happens to be back there. Give me Tampa Bay to win this game easily.
Trap game with the Pittsburgh Steelers. You must be.
Just watch. Pittsburgh's going to surprise you.
Thank you. The first Trubisky is trash. Everything else you said, I appreciate it, David. But that's it. It just the conversation stopped. Trubisky is trash, and that's it.
Moving on from this game, we can talk about the Carolina Panthers as they go to Carolina to take on into Charlotte and take on the Carolina Panthers. I have them continuing to win. I have them. This is a 5-game winning streak as they win 5 games in a row. They beat Carolina in Carolina because Carolina stinks.
That's a big dub right there. Carolina is a shell of itself. They're still in the rebuilding stages. I think Tampa Bay definitely wins.
Yeah, I agree with both of you right there. Atlanta wins easily. They're still undefeated in my books.
Give me Tampa Bay.
I mean, Tampa is undefeated.
Still talking about
Tampa
Atlanta.
undefeated. Tampa wins.
And then they welcome in Baltimore into the pirate ship. Did they get out of the pirate ship? Does Baltimore get out of the pirate ship with a W?
See, this is where it gets tough.
Depends.
It depends. Now, look, to me, the Ravens, I think they're going to be the team that in the AFC that might take a step back this year, regardless if Lamar Jackson is healthy or not, right? I don't know who they're going to throw it to outside of Mark Andrews.
That's a good point. I mean, you got Duvernay, and that's about it.
And that's about it. Offensively, the offensive line, they could stand on their own, knowing that Lamar Jackson go left, they could go right, and he could go forward or he could throw it, right? The running game will always be helped out because of Lamar Jackson. But if you're talking about a shootout, can the Ravens pull it off? And that's the biggest question right there.
I've seen the Ravens do it plenty of times this past season. But I think the Bucs defense is just too much. I mean, you know, and we'll see what kind of the Ravens we get around this time.
Exactly.
They're very injury prone. That whole team is injury prone. Someone's always out.
At one point, yeah, they had the best secondary in the National Football League. They get Marcus Williams in the offseason. They draft incredibly this offseason as well. Getting the kid from Iowa, the center, and getting the Kyle Hamilton, who was my number one player. They get him in like 15. But I do have questions about this offense. Like, who is Lamar Jackson going to throw it to outside of Mark Andrews and Duvernay? I'm actually going to take Tampa to win this game. I don't trust the offense that Baltimore's going to be rolling out this season. I just don't.
It's going to be a run-heavy offense this year for Baltimore.
And they're gonna get J.K. Dobbins back, but I don't think it'll matter.
It don't matter.
And probably like 60% of the run's going to be Lamar Jackson.
Well, I mean, and they're gonna get what is it, the Greg, whatever the other guy's name was, who tore his Achilles too. So I guess we'll see. Then Los Angeles comes to town. The Rams, the rematch of the playoff game from last year, which is Rams got up to a huge lead, and Tampa Bay basically crawled back into it. Do they continue to win and beat the Rams? This game is in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I think this is a revenge game for Brady. I think they win this one against the Rams. And then when you meet in the playoffs, they lose. So that's what always happens.
Go ahead, David. What you got? So Dub, Tampa.
I'm actually going to take the Rams to win this game. I think the Rams have an offense that's going to travel. I think they have one of the better defenses in the National Football League. I'll get the Rams to win this game. I do think the score 37-24 could be what it ends up being. I'll take the Rams. I have them falling to 6-3.
This is where I kind of agree with you too. I think this is where the Bucs finally get their first L in a devastating fashion, right? I think this game is going to go back and forth. The team that gets the last possession, I believe, might be the Rams. Whoever has a good stop. Plus, the defense is still going to be top notch, especially that front line. Give me the Rams on this one, and that's what I'm going with. This is their first loss of the season.
And then they go to Germany. Munich, Germany, to take on the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know whose home game this is, but it's a neutral site game where they got to go to Germany and play Seattle. I also think that this could be one of the factors that brought Tom Brady out of retirement, because they're like, yeah, we're going to go to Germany for the first time, and we're going to have Blake Bortles as the quarterback and Drew Lock. No, we need to have Tom Brady back. Like the NFL was like, hey, Tom Brady, sorry, you can't retire. You got to come back and play in Germany because we need to have that fan base. They smoke Seattle. However it works out. Wherever they're going to be playing, Seattle gets beat down.
100%.
7-3.
This could be played in Mexico. This could be played in Canada. This could be played on the damn moon, and the Bucs still roll over the Seattle Seahawks.
The only way the Bucs lost over here is that the fact that they missed out on Oktoberfest. That's the only loss that Tampa Bay is going to have playing this game in Germany. Thanks. They miss out on Oktoberfest. That's the only loss they're going to bring back because they're winning this game.
I totally agree with you on that. Moving on, so they got the bye after that, and then they go to Cleveland to take on the Cleveland Browns at First Energy Stadium. They're in Cleveland. Deshaun Watson, if he does end up getting suspended for 8 games, which is the rumor, which is what I think is going to happen, he will be back by this game. Will it matter? Who's going to win this game?
Doesn't matter. Bucs still win, even if Deshaun Watson comes back. He's gonna be very rusty. The guy hasn't played in like 2 years. It's
Well, this would be his second. I guess this is week 9. So this would be his very first game of the season,
right.
potentially.
So, yeah,
If he does get any games suspended, I have no idea. I'm just so Ben Roethlisberger got suspended for 4 games a couple years ago for kind of stuff similar to this, and he didn't have nearly as many allegations as Deshaun Watson currently has against him. I'm actually surprised the NFL hasn't done something already with this.
I mean, I agree with you.
I don't know.
Browns still have Baker Mayfield, but I'm still picking the Bucks.
Baker Mayfield's not playing for this team again.
Yeah, Baker's not going to play for it. Rumor has it, Jacoby Brissett is going to be the starting?
Yeah, I think that's who they got on their roster right now. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the NFL has just been sitting on their hands waiting for this. I don't know. Why are you waiting so long? Anyways.
Yeah, this is another dub for the Bucks here. I think they'll cut to, no matter if it's Baker Mayfield, if it's Jacoby Brissett, if it's Deshaun Watson's first game. This has W written all over for the Buccaneers.
I'm not gonna lie, it feels kind of weird picking all these wins. As a Bears fan, you're so used to saying L. Kind of like, man, this is weird. This is not a good feeling.
So if we got Watson comes back, throws for 2 touchdowns and 2 sexual assault charges. Then the New Orleans comes into Raymond James Stadium to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I have the Tampa Bay continue to win. I have them beat New Orleans to move up to 9-3.
David. That was something else, man.
Savage.
Another win.
Another win. They're gonna come out 3 wins in a row after losing to the Rams in my books.
Then Tampa Bay, they go to San Francisco. They go to Candles. I wish it was still called Candlestick, but now it's Levi Stadium. Take on the San Francisco 49ers. This is pretty close to where Tom Brady grew up. He was a San Francisco 49ers fan as a kid. Does he come out of San Francisco possibly for the last time with a victory?
Nope. Nope. The San Francisco 49ers win this game. I'm actually pretty high on the 49ers, Dave, and I see them winning against Tampa Bay this game.
Who's the quarterback at this point of the season?
Jimmy G, baby. Oof. Jimmy Garoppolo. Look, when you guys are going to learn, I'm not saying, look, Trey Lance can be a great quarterback, but during this stretch of the season, I have a feeling they're going to go for the veteran, the guy who they know can get it done, because he has gotten it done, gotten to the playoffs, even got him to the NFC Championship. Jimmy G is going to be that man.
I do not think Jimmy Garoppolo will be on the roster at this point, but. I still, I'm going to take Tampa Bay to beat San Francisco. Trey Lance is, I think San Francisco may be a team that's taking a step back because, you go from being in the NFC Championship game and then you have all this turmoil at quarterback and like a lot of uncertainty. Give me Tampa Bay to go to 10-3 on the season.
I feel personally that this might be another loss for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going out west. Obviously, I always put that into a great factor. The only difference for me in this situation, who is going to be their quarterback? I think that's the biggest question mark out of it. Because if it's Jimmy G, give me a W for the 49ers all day, every day. All day. If it's Trey Lance, it depends how the kid plays, and that's the biggest question mark. And if he's going to be playing like how he played that one game, okay, I'll give the shot to the Buccaneers, but. Simply because they're going to Candlestick. I wish it was Candlestick, but it's not.
I love that name, Candlestick. Like
I could kind of see this one as an L, no matter if it's Trey Lance or Jimmy G as quarterback for this game.
I tend to agree with you on that. I think it could go either way, but I'm going to take Tampa Bay to win. Cincinnati comes into Raymond James Stadium, into the pirate ship. This Joe Burrow beat the guy he gets compared to all the time, and Tom Brady. I think this will be their first head-to-head matchup in their careers. Does Joe Brady beat the mentor in Tom Brady?
Nope, Bucks win this one. I think for the first and maybe only matchup against each other, I think Tom Brady comes out on top for sure. And remember, I've been at the highest on the Cincinnati Bengals. I even said they're going to go back to Super Bowl one year. I just don't think
one year. Some year they're going to go back
this year.
So Cincinnati, you said?
No, I got Tampa Bay.
You got Tampa.
I got Tampa Bay.
I'm taking Cincinnati. I actually think that Cincinnati did a really good job this offseason building back up that offensive line. They did a good job of building up their corners, and they have arguably the best trio wide receivers in the National Football League. Give me Cincinnati win this game on the road.
I agree with you, Dave. I think Cincinnati will actually go down to Tampa and actually take a W out of it. It's just a simple fact. Like, they beefed up the offensive line. The wide receiving trio is good. Tight end is pretty decent. Running game will always be there. Defensively, they're not that bad. Defensively, they still have all their main pieces together. This team is a force to be reckoned with. This team is my pick to win the AFC North, and I think they're going to prove it right here facing against Tampa this late in the season.
That Jesse Bates situation is a little messy, but we'll see what ends up happening with that. Moving on, they go to Arizona into the Candles, or what is it, the Big Toaster? They're in Arizona. Take on the Arizona Cardinals. Who comes out of that game with the victory?
Arizona loses. Tampa Bay. I think Tom Brady and the Bucs are way too much for Kyler Murray and that mess he has over there.
I agree. I think Tampa Bay I think this is gonna be the year where Arizona has everything lined up for them, and something happens mid-season, and by this point, it's gonna be like
that was last year,
and it's gonna happen again, and it's gonna happen again.
I would respectfully disagree with you guys. I actually think Arizona is going to have a good team this season, and DeAndre Hopkins' suspension will already be over at this point. Mm-hmm. As long as they can figure out this Kyler Murray situation, whatever's going on right now, I'm going to assume that Kyler Murray is going to be the starting quarterback of this team. But because he said he's not going to play without a new contract, we don't really know.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think that drama goes away, and it's going to carry over, and you're going to see Arizona.
It's going to carry through the season.
Yeah, you're going to see him take a step back.
You know what? You convinced me. Yeah, I'll take Tampa Bay too. I got them at 11-4 heading into the final games of the season. Arizona, David Henderson said Arizona loses 34-21. I like Arizona, but Brady finds a way to win. And then the final two games of the season, we can just clump them together. They go to Carolina and then Atlanta, or Carolina comes there and then they go to Atlanta. Do they win? Do they lose either of those games?
They do not lose either of those games. You could rest Brady both games and then Bucs still win.
I tend to agree with you. I think they beat Carolina, put a thumping on Carolina, and then they go to Atlanta and they put a thumping on Atlanta as well. Even though I think I had them split. Yeah,
you
did.
You got them split. Yep.
No, I did not Atlanta. I had them beating Atlanta twice.
Oh, you did.
I had them splitting with New Orleans.
Oh yeah, they're gonna end the season. They're gonna end the season on a 3-game winning streak after losing to Cincinnati. They're gonna clinch the number 1 seed against Arizona. They're still good enough, even with backups, to beat Carolina and Atlanta. Give me back-to-back wins to end the season.
David Henderson says they beat Carolina and Atlanta. They outscored them by a combined 167-14. So I can for sure see that.
Who's going to score? I think Carolina's going to score all 14 of them points.
Atlanta will score all 14.
Yeah, both of those situations are. Christian McCaffrey's already going to be out by this point, so you're not going to have. Like, you're not going to have anyone to run the ball and not going to be able to score. Atlanta still has some decent weapons there. I mean, they have, Kyle Pitts and they have Cordell Patterson is nice. Yeah. And then they got Kenny Drake, who I like a lot. I have Tampa Bay finishing the season 13-4 and in the thick for the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Yep. I think I got them. I got the number 1 team. They're the number 1 team in the NFC this year and this year only. I think that it's going to go through Tampa. Give me Tampa as the number 1 seed this year in the NFC.
I definitely think that's a real possibility because I think when you look at some other teams will have some injuries. Yeah. McCaffrey says, he's going to get injured, wiping himself in the stalls. But it's
I got him 14-3.
13-4.
13-4. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Whoa. Oh, wait. I think I messed up on yours.
You can't count.
I can't count. I messed up on Jose's. 14-3. I got 14-3. I think you had one more loss than all of us. So I think you got 12-5.
12-5. Oh, 12-5?
You got 12-5. Yeah, you got a loss in there.
12-5. 2 seated behind with the Rams.
Behind the Rams. I got him number 1.
David Henderson says Tampa Bay finishes with 13-14 wins, 13-14 possible. I think I agree with that. But yeah, that's been our Tampa Bay Buccaneers season preview. Let us know what you think the record will be for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers before the season ends. And please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast so we can continue creating great content for you guys. We very much appreciate it. Before we get out of here, we got about 30 minutes or so before the Game 5 of the NBA Finals starts. Let me get a little bit of your guys' insight. Who do you think wins tonight?
Ooh, it's tough. You know what?
It's a back and forth match. I'm saying Boston takes this one to even up the series, and then
I thought it was already even.
It is even 2 games apiece.
It's 2 a game. It's 2 apiece, bro. It's game 5.
I guess I'm ahead of myself. In that case, Golden State wins.
You get
go
this-
up 3.
You get this content in JCA Sports every single week, man. Every episode, we find a way to screw something up, and it continues onto your podcast,
Golden
Dave.
State.
All right. All right.
I you know what? I'm gonna continue with the trend on how it's going. I want to say Boston. I think Boston's gonna go out there and prove themselves today. Part of me wants to say Golden State, but honestly, it's the first team to win back-to-back games, man. And this, you know what? This series is, to me, has been very, 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 very boring. All these games have been blowouts, man. I lose interest in it very, very quickly. Simply, like, yes, it's entertaining at first.
I mean, the only game 2 has been really a blowout. I mean,
No,
both games in Boston were competitive up until the end.
up until the end. Right. And then, but that was still like 5 minutes left in the game. You honestly think I'm going to watch the last 5 minutes just watching everybody missing? No, to me, I want to say Golden State. I think I'm going to go with the trend. Boston wins next. Think we're going to go to 7. And
I think Golden State can win game 5 and 6. But if you want to hear their full analysis of what was going on in the NBA Finals, please check out the JCA podcast that goes live tonight at 9. After game number 6, Prime Sports World will go live tomorrow and break down game number 5 and give you the most up-to-date content. And gentlemen, what we do here at the Prime Sports World, you're supposed to say bring the heat. I didn't tell you, but we're supposed to. What do we do at Prime Sports World, man?
We bring the heat.
Yes, sir. We bring the heat. Thank you very much for joining us. We will see you guys tomorrow when we break down game number 5 in the NBA Finals. And then we are going to jump into the AFC East is going to be the next division that we preview here at Prime Sports World. We're going to start with the lowly New York Jets and work our way up to the powerful Buffalo Bills. I've been David Huppman. Right there is Eric and Jose. Thank you very much for joining us. We will be back here tomorrow. And check out their podcast, the JCA Sports Podcast. That goes live at 9 o'clock. We will see you guys later. Peace out.
later, guys. Thank you.
And if you're in Chicago, stay safe from the weather for real.
I think it's over. I think it was only like a 10-minute storm. Don't worry about it. We're good.
Okay, for sure. Peace out, guys.